Pete here, and I thought it would be interesting to look at the CFS forecast in combination with a few other models when looking at forecasts that go several months in the future, because I find you don't really hear the CFS mentioned all that much in some of these discussions. So I'm going to get out the John Madden Telestrator, and I'm going to circle this right here. So we're looking at the forecast precipitation anomaly for the month of December for Missouri, Arkansas, southern Illinois, western Tennessee, northern Mississippi. On a map, it looks like this. You can see it also covers part of western Kentucky as well. So I downloaded the files and plotted this on Colab, and you will see I'm using the CFS model, the European model, and the NMME. For forecasts that cover precipitation anomalies for the month of December, the European and NMME forecasts are issued once a month. Here was their August forecast for December. Here was their September forecast for December. And here was the October forecast for December. The European model usually comes out on the 6th, while the NMME model usually comes out on the 8th. So that's why there's this little difference here between when the models come out. When the models made their forecast for December, the ones initialized in August are right here. Again, that's the NMME and the European. You could see the European came in about 0.2 inches below normal per month for precipitation. The NMME came in fairly close to normal, although we could probably say a little bit above normal. In September, the forecast for December are right here. You can see the NMME came in below normal, as did the European, but the NMME was a little bit more aggressive in being below normal than was the Euro. And finally, the most recent forecast from October shows the NMME came in right around normal in its forecast for December, while the European continued to forecast below normal for December. So now the question is it helpful to have the CFS forecast, which is represented by this blue line right there? There are multiple CFS forecasts per day, and it's actually fairly easy to access the daily forecast. So that's why it's a long continuous line that some might argue is a little bit erratic, maybe too erratic for a useful forecast. One of the ways to calm down some of the noise with the CFS forecast is to do exactly what they put out on this NOAA website that puts out the daily CFS forecast. You see where it says ICs, initial conditions? Well, I'm filming this on October 19th, so you could see ICs show that they're using forecasts from October 9th to October 18th. So they're essentially using forecasts from the past 10 days. Now, there are 4 forecasts per day that go into this, so that means there are 40 forecasts over the past 10 days. That means that each point on this blue line, which shows the CFS forecast, each point represents 40 forecasts over the past 10 days. So the most recent forecast represents that. So does the one before that. I'm not going to draw arrows for every single one, but you get the idea. So back to our original question. Does it help to have the CFS forecast on here? For example, let's go back to September when we had on September 6th the European model weigh-in for December. Then on September 8th, we had the NMME weigh-in for December. You'll notice they both came in a little bit below normal, but then we had to wait a whole entire month until the next NMME and European model came out. In the meantime, the CFS was making forecasts. So during that wait from September to October, does it help to have the CFS going up, predicting above normal for December, but then as we go towards the end of September into October, it's now starting to predict below normal precipitation for December? By the way, I don't have the answer to this. I just think it's kind of interesting to look at. Does having some data like this help, or does it actually hurt? I guess you could make the argument that towards the end of December and the beginning of October, when we're waiting for the NMME and European to come out, it at least gives you a hint, the CFS does, that maybe the new model runs of the European and NMME may come in around normal or just below normal. But I fully admit this is really only one of the examples I've looked at, so I may be cherry picking. There could be other regions where the CFS becomes nonsensical in this case. And just for the sake of curiosity, let's go check out a different part of the country and see what we can come up with. So I'm just going to comment out the region that we were just looking at, which included Missouri, Arkansas, and some of the surrounding areas. And let's look at part of the northwest United States, so Oregon, Washington, parts of Idaho and western Montana. So I will run the new coordinates. Now let's run the plot again, and you'll see a different kind of plot emerges. Here's the region we're looking at, by the way. So what do we have here? Well, you'll notice both the European and the NMME, they come in around normal to below normal for the month of December for their forecasts, which were initialized in August. And then their forecasts in September both come in above normal, as do the forecasts that were issued in October for December, although the October forecast for December is not quite aggressive in being above normal as it was in September. What about the CFS? Well, between August and September, CFS is kind of erratic. It seems to be doing its own thing. And then between September and October, it goes down to around normal. It goes up and then goes down kind of close to what the Euro and NMME are for their October forecast. So again, does it help to have the CFS in between the runs of the NMME and the European while we're waiting for those to come out? Just cannot answer that question right now. And you'll see the CFS kind of recently through October 17th has been trending above normal. The above normal trend probably partly due to La Nina, which tends to bring above normal precipitation during the winter in parts of the Northwest. But of course, we know that forecasts several months into the future are not terribly reliable, so we always take these with a grain of salt. I'll continue to look at more of these plots and trends as we go through the next several months and see if I can come up with any answers if using the CFS plot is actually useful.